program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
There is a hyena there behind the trees where right up until about 2 seconds ago she was right in front of us out in the open. There's a certain inevitability to that. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. Everybody should enjoy a lazy morning every now and again. A little bit of a lion, I say wistfully, including, or especially, a female hyena with cubs. It seems as though Ribbon was just repositioning herself to lie a little bit closer to wherever her cub is sleeping. And she's gone straight back to sleep. So for our new viewers, let's do a little bit of an explanation as to how this whole thing works and what it's all about. We are coming to you live from a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. And because it is completely live, 100% live, first of all, we never know what's going to happen. And second of all, it means that you can interact with us using the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. Any questions that you would like to ask or comments that you would like to make. I suspect, Fergus, it's probably time for me to introduce myself as well at some point. I mean, I'm happy not to, but it might be a little bit confusing to have a disembodied voice coming from somewhere in the direction of the hyena. People might start to get confused. My name is Jamie, and this morning Fergus is on camera with me, and we're enjoying a nice, relaxed morning by the hyena den. There's a fly on the camera. There we go. Got rid of it. And hopefully we have all kinds of exciting things in store for you. Ribbons up. Come on, come bring your cubs out for us. Or cub and mystery cub. We've had some confusing things happening at this hyena den recently. Right, now Ribbon, don't do what you did the other day, which was just stand there, hopefully. Now you've got to call them out. Otherwise they won't wake up. They're teenagers. They need a wake-up call. Come on, what have you seen? She's seen something. Something's attracted her attention. Perhaps another hyena coming to visit. Oh, and I see a little face emerging at the den. Hello. Aren't they just the sweetest? Right, I think on this, hello, there's the older one. This is amazing. The older one's off to the right there, Fergus. Can you see it? They come both of them now. Look, that hyena is definitely older than that one. This is so weird. Morning. How did you lot sleep? Did you have a good night? Now, of course, we're in the worst possible position, but I don't want to start up the engine because that older cub is very, very skittish of vehicles, and we've only just started to change that. There's a third cub. No? No, it's still the... What's going on here? No, it's still just two cubs. This whole thing is very confusing. Ribbon had two cubs. I think it's safe to say at this point one of them didn't make it. Oh, I was so happy to see Mum. I don't know who this older cub is. I mean, it... Are you so excited, huh? Michael, I have absolutely no idea. Michael wants to know who I think the older cub belongs to. I guess it's possible that it's Gwen, but that... Hello, Fluffball. What have you got to say for yourself? No, it's not possible that it's Gwen. Gwen's cub would be a year old. That cub is not a year old. Hello. Good morning. Would you like to come and smell what I've been driving in the last 24 hours? Oh, no, maybe not. I don't know, Michael. I'm really confused. The only thing I can suggest is that we have to wait until this older cub's mum comes back. It can't possibly be Gwen. That is not a year-old hyena cub. And, I mean, if I had to guess, it's okay. Panicking each other. Look at your turn of speed. My goodness, it was just yesterday that you were wobbling all over the place and falling down. Hey, not so brave without your sibling, huh? They always encourage each other. It's all right. And back again. Look at me. Look, I can run now. Geeky Beth, I don't know if Ribbon's taken in a stray. I mean, it doesn't happen. Hyenas do not allosuckle, says the textbooks. This cub is sniffing at Ribbon's nipples. It wants food. It's hungry. And they might lick every now and again. But hyena researchers across Africa agree that hyenas do not allosuckle. Fortunately, if we do see this cub suckling... No, you see Ribbon's nipping at it. She's going to get cross with it. Well, we'd certainly have something to send hyena researchers. Look, the animals don't read the rule books, but it would be contrary to all understanding that we have of hyena behavior. Lions allosuckle, yes, because they're related to each other. Hyenas do not. So who on earth does this cub belong to? Where did it come from? Where has it been hiding? Who on earth is Mum? And like sands through the hourglass, these are the days of our hyena lives. Right, Tristan is out and about as well. He's found you a bird.
We do indeed, Jamie. It is a very misty, cold bird at this stage, I would imagine. So we've got a tawny eagle just sitting in a nice dead tree in the mist. Now, my name is Tristan, as Jamie said, and on camera I've got Craig, aka the Batman, and it is a very, very, very beautiful morning this morning. There's something about mist when you're out on these early morning game drives that has this kind of eerie but interesting feeling, and it always feels like something's about to happen around the corner. So hopefully we'll be able to find something. Now, our tawny eagle is taking it very easy, and I was hoping to try and see if I couldn't find some lion tracks this side. Apparently the Nkuhuma Pride was seen coming into Vuatela last night, so I want to try and see if I can't find them. Now, maybe they came across the dam cam because they came from just north of the lodge, out of Buffelshoek. So if anybody did see them, let us know on #SafariLive on Twitter. And for those of you that are new viewers, this is interactive and you can ask any questions that you may have about the African wilderness, well, any questions that you have in general about anything that interests you in nature, and we will try and answer them as much as possible. But isn't that a beautiful scene with this sort of mist just dropping down? And it's interesting, it's getting thicker by the minute at this stage. So I'm going to try and see if I can't actually find these lions, because I think it would be beautiful to have lions in the mist. And while we do that, I think there's some impalas over there. Oh, there it is. I can see a male impala kind of in amongst there, just straight. There we go. And he's busy moving around, and it's quite cool to hear them calling in the mist. You sometimes just hear this sort of bellowing. There we go. I don't know if you picked it up, but there's this kind of bellowing that comes out of these sort of misty areas. It's quite creepy, actually, because the impala makes quite an odd sound. Right, onward and forward to see if we can't find any tracks for lions. And while we do that, I believe James Henry is playing with ants.
I'm not playing with ants at all. I am playing with something much more closely related to cockroaches. And they are, of course, termites. Good morning to you all. I hope that you're all having a wonderful time wherever you happen to be in the world, and that you are comfortable, that you have a very pleasant drink next to you, and that you're settling in for the next 3 hours as we go through the sunset safari. If you're about to go to work, good, take us with you. We will make your day tolerable. My name is James Hendry. You can ask us any questions you like, of course, as Tristan and Jamie have both told you. Hashtag Safari Live is how you do that, and that, of course, is on Twitter. And if you don't know how to use Twitter, well, it's very easy. You can figure it out. Let's go back to these rather magnificent termites as we sit here wondering how it is that they could possibly be building their mound underneath the road. Now, we are often asked, if an elephant stands or something stands on a termite mound, could they fall through it? Well, here's your answer. These are not mound-building termites. I think they're harvester termites, and they're just opening up some kind of chimney, I guess, maybe a temperature-regulating hole to their colony, which is under this road. Now, if cars are able to drive over the top of where these termites live, you get an idea of how hard those termite mounds must be. And it is quite astonishing to me that underneath the road, over which tons of vehicular motion occurs during the course of the day, here they survive. It is really quite amazing how strong their place is. Now, what they're doing, I'm slightly confused about. I suspect they're out because, of course, it's cool. The sun has not really come up. There's a lot of mist and cloud around, so they're not afraid of the sun. Termites, in general, are very sensitive to the sun. But it's winter, and why, therefore, they are feeling the need to open up the termite mound, I'm not sure. Maybe there's been an attack of some sort. Maybe they're moving. I don't know. Maybe they're closing off certain parts. But you can see them carrying stones up to the surface and leaving them there. It is just astonishing to watch. And what I will show you also, I'm just going to point to it with my finger here, Seb. You can see a red ant pulling away the severed head of a termite. Now, that's a bit of a gory thing to see at this time of the morning, but there's the severed head of a worker termite being carried away by an ant. And in fact, if you follow the line of where that ant's going, there are quite a lot of them carrying away bits of severed termite. So maybe there was some sort of attack on the mound, and that's sort of precipitated this need to open up to the outside world. I'm not sure. Right, we're going to press on from here. We've got the same idea as Tristan. We're going to see if we can't pick up on the lion tracks. In the meantime, let us return to Jamie and her hyenas.
Jamie and her hyenas. Oh. Jamie's hyenas have... That's exactly what I thought they were going to do. Jamie's hyenas have vanished. Can you see them there, Ferg? The obvious answer to the mystery cub is that there was a den site that we didn't know about. And it's a den site that obviously hasn't been visited by vehicles, so the older one's not nearly as relaxed. And we won't know the answer as to the parentage of that particular cub until we see it being fed. I'm sure Mom is around somewhere. Funnily enough, my money's on probably Scarback. And the reason that I say that, I mean, I could be completely barking up the wrong spout there. The reason I say that is that cub looks quite submissive. Scarback is quite a low-ranking female, and it's about time she had cubs again. Look, she might have... Oh my goodness. We are playing run around all around the den. It's run circles around Jamie Day. Okay, we're going this way now. The little one is having so much fun. Watch, it's going to pop out there now. Where'd you go? James, I thought about that as well. James's question is, could the older cub be responsible for the death of Ribbon's other young cub? Yes, possibly. There's a distinct possibility that there was some kind of a disagreement. Oh, you're getting braver again. It's entirely possible that there was some kind of disagreement when the older cub arrived at the den site, but we'll never know. And we can't blame the older cub, or we can't blame the older cub's mum. It's impossible for us to know exactly what happened. For all we know, the other cub could have been bitten by a snake. Anything else is just guesswork. We know it's no longer with us at this point. Hi. Yes, what have you got to say for yourself? Fluffball? Nice. I was just about to talk about how ladylike and dainty that other cub is, and then it fell off the termite mound. Holly? Yes, it's possible that Ribbon is denning with an unseen female. Do we know everything there is to know about this hyena clan? Absolutely not. It's unlikely, but it's entirely possible. It could even be the offspring of one of our older set of cubs that we haven't had a chance to properly observe. I mean, I know that lots of our viewers monitor the hyenas. They see them on the dam camera. Hello. This is a really beautiful hyena, this little thing. But every now and again it goes up to Ribbon and gets snapped at. So it's possible that there's a female that we don't know. I guess it's even possible that... Here comes trouble. I guess it's even possible that a mother came in from another clan, I guess. Maritza, no, I don't think that this cub has lost its mum at all. I think we just haven't been lucky enough to see mum. Oh, maybe I'm wrong about the rank of this hyena cub. There was something a little bit dominant about that greeting to Ribbon. Maybe I'm mistaken. Let's see how the situation plays out. I don't think there's any reason to suspect yet that that cub has lost its mother. Roshni, again, you want to know if the foster cub could be killed? I don't think so. I think it's unlikely to occur. Now there's a little bit of dominance. Let's see how Ribbon responds to this. Older cub showing a very playful approach to the younger one. Roshni, I don't think so. Hyenas share den sites all the time. You get cubs of different ages, different ranks. The situation where a cub is killed is usually when it's acting out towards another cub and it's got a high-ranking mother, or a low-ranking mother, and a higher-ranking female steps in. And they think that's probably a far higher cause of hyena cub deaths. It's basically aunticide, is what the article that I read called it. Or the articles that I read called it. But I honestly don't know how the situation's going to play out. I think it's just going to be an ordinary den situation. I think at some point we'll get lucky and we'll meet the mother of the older cub, and then we'll be able to, it'll all fall into place. We'll be able to determine where its rank, or roughly where it ranks in the hyena clan. Get a much better idea of the goings-on. I was so worried Ribbon was going to disappear. She hasn't. When she got up and walked to the other side of the den, I thought that was it for the morning, but it's not. And maybe if we sit here, we'll get lucky and the female will come today. Who's your mum? Look how dainty this cub is. Maybe it's just the age that it's at. There goes the younger one. Kitty cat, you are not the first person to have seen that in a hyena cub's face. Kitty cat says that hyena cub faces look like bears, and are they in any way related to bears? Distantly, yes. They're more closely related to something like a mongoose or a badger, but there is a distant relationship to bears. And I have known many people who have said that hyena cubs look like bears. And in fact, the very first school group I ever took, I used to take school groups from the States, groups of teenagers, and the very first time, and the very first group I ever took, somebody started jumping up and down in my vehicle and shouting, "It's a bear! It's a bear!" It wasn't a bear. It was a hyena. It was a brown hyena, actually. So you were definitely not the first person to make that observation. I don't know if it's the ears. Hey, you see how much having a relaxed cub has contributed to, I say that as they run away, has contributed to habituating the older cub. Because all we need is for the younger cub to show it that it's okay. And like children, they gain confidence from each other. And the younger cub will teach the older cub that we're okay, that we're not to be feared. And the older cub's natural curiosity is causing it to investigate closer and closer. Robert! Yes, hyenas do occasionally hunt by themselves. Not when they're this size, obviously. Most of the time, though, when they do their own hunting, it's in their clans, using the advantage of numbers. So when they do hunt most of the time, it's as a collective group. Galloping down the termite mound. Speaking of collective hunters and social hunters, cooperative hunting, I cannot believe this has happened, but Tristan has found a pride of lions.
We have indeed. We found the Nkuhuma Pride, and look at this. They're back in their old haunts. They're around Albury's and Gallagher's shortcut, which is where they spent so much time last drought, and they are busy playing in the mist. It is such a magical scene. Look how big they are. They are so big. I can't believe how big the cubs are. I suppose they are almost, they're a year old now, so they are big, and it's amazing to see them. Look, and they're having such fun this morning. They're playing everywhere, and aren't we just so fortunate to be able to have found them on the road? It's so thick on either side of the road. If they walk 100 meters off the road, we're going to battle to see them. So for them to have come out, look at the mist. Isn't that a magical scene? So there we go. 2 sort of finds of lions in 2 days. That's amazing. We've done very well. There's one that looks like it's about to pounce on the other one on the road here, Craig. Let's see if it's going to. There we go. Oh no, it's decided not to pounce, but those two are having a full game. They're pulling at each other's tails, and it's all just play this morning. And they're looking so good. The last time I saw them, they were at that awkward phase where they were looking a bit scraggly, but look at them. They're not too many signs of mange on them. They're looking very, very healthy indeed. I'm so excited that they're back, and I hope all of you are as well. So, James, you're wondering how Tinyo would react if the Nkuhumas found that mystery lioness that he was with yesterday. Well, I'm not sure, James. I think it would be an interesting situation. Hello, little one. Long time no see. Yes, hello. It would be interesting. I think what would probably happen would be that it would just be so chaotic that lionesses would run everywhere, that Tinyo would probably get quite upset and try and sort of go after varying lionesses, but he wouldn't actually know who is who. And eventually he would then sort of work it out that, okay, this is the Nkuhumas. Look at them playing. This is magical, man. This is so, so good. Now, I didn't even notice there's another little cub right here on my right-hand side. Over there is a cub sitting in the grass. That's how well camouflaged they are. There we go. Now, it just shows you how difficult it is to spot them in this grass. I honestly have not even seen that cub until now when I was about to drive forward to join the playing ones. But hello, little one. Are you going to join the rest of them? Now, I've only seen one lioness so far. I haven't seen any of the others, but I'm really keen to try and find all 5 of them because I believe one of them is heavily pregnant, and I'm interested to see who it is. I think it might be the younger female that might be so pregnant, but I want to try and see if I can find her and see which one. Maybe it's even Amber Eyes. Wouldn't that be amazing if one of them are? Now, Lex is just trying to get hold of me of the radio so that I can find where I am. Look at this. You see them all playing? This is amazing. There is nothing better than when lions start to play like this, and the fact that it's in this sort of mist is just that much more special. It is so good to have the Nkuhuma Pride back home, and I hope, like I say, all of you agree. It's just extra special that they're spending time in the same sort of areas, and hopefully this is going to be a sign of things to come. Last winter, this is the area that they really sort of dominated. It's where they had cubs, and who knows, maybe this female is so heavily pregnant that they know that this is where they're going to den again, and hopefully it could mean that the Nkuhumas stick around here. Look, they are just chasing each other all over the place. How wonderful is this? Just lost visual of all of them. Now they've run into the thickets. Now we're just waiting for our last cub to decide if it's going to go across. Are you going to just stay there? Because it's the last one, and I'm scared that we lose them if they do go further in without us being able to find them. But let's see. I'm going to try and just sneak forward a little bit. This cub will eventually come with. You can see where the whole pride was lying. Look at how the grass is squashed on my right hand side here. So that's where they've been sleeping. You can actually see how much sort of space 11 lions now takes up, that these cubs have gotten a little bit bigger. They really have taken up quite a large area. That is... So Debbie, you're wondering at what age would the male lions start developing their mane? Well, we already start to see thickening of that area from now, from over a year old, and then it only really develops into a proper, fully grown dark mane like we see on the Birminghams when they become dominant males, and that's normally around sort of the age of 5 or 6 years old. Prior to that, they still have these kind of mohawks and very underdeveloped blonde manes. As soon as they become territorial, there's a testosterone flush, and that causes the hair to, 1, grow, and 2, melanin to be produced, and that then ends up making the mane get darker and thicker, and you see those big manes that you'll see on an adult lion. Now the rest of them seem to have disappeared, so I want to try and just quickly go and get past this little one. Oh no, they're still playing there. I can just see them in the mist. It's a bit curious of us, and I don't want to go too far away from her because she's kind of watching us very carefully, and now that they're back, it's just so good to spend time with them and get them used to us again. It's a long time since they've seen our vehicles and our antennas and all of that. Are you curious? They're starting to look just like their moms now, aren't they? Look at those faces. It almost has that Nkuhuma sort of broadness around the eyes, and then it comes down into that little bit more narrow muzzle. But any signs of that mange on these cubs is all but gone now. They really, really, really do look amazing. So, what are you doing? Are you watching us? Very curious about the vehicle. Keeps staring at every little part of it. Skip, who's 12 years old and all the way from Texas. You want to know, Skip, whether all the lions have names? Well, no, they don't. So these little cubs are just incorporated into the Nkuhuma Pride. So they're called the Nkuhumas, as well as their moms. They're all part of the same pride. So you'll find that there is sort of the Nkuhuma Pride. And once they become dominant males, if there's males in the pride, they'll then get their own name. But as females, they'll all just have the sort of Nkuhuma Pride name, and if they have something that's very interesting about them, like amber eyes, then they get the amber eyes name. But otherwise, no, we don't name them too much. We try and keep it as sort of generic as possible, and just keep it all about pride names and areas that they inhabit. Now I'm going to try and keep up with our pride. Where they're going is very, very thick. You can see lots of fallen trees in front here, so we're going to try and see if I can't get you. And we're not going to be able to go that way already because there's a fallen over tree there. Let's try that again. That wasn't a good attempt to start getting into the bush, but let's try and get around. Like I say, it's just this mist is getting thicker and thicker and thicker, and it's just adding to the whole sort of atmosphere of this, and the sea really is a very special here.
Just ask him which way they're going. Hello everybody, we're live. We're just in a slight consternation here. We've come off-road. We're not too far from where those lions are. We heard a whole lot of alarm calling through here, and we thought maybe there could be a leopard. But the birds have stopped shouting now, and so I think probably they saw a snake that heard us coming and disappeared. Because if it had been a leopard, what they would do is follow it as it walked away. They'd keep sort of squawking above it as it walked. But we haven't found anything. But I can hear some bashing of cars in the bush there. We thought the lions were there and we didn't know they were moving, but I think they're probably moving down this way. Let's just walk gently down here. It is the most amazingly misty morning, and I woke up this morning and I thought, well, it's unusually warm. And that's normally a sign that it's not going to get very warm very quickly, and certainly it has not. I'm just going to wait for Rex on there to assess what's going on with the lions. He's sitting with a radio, just trying to figure out exactly where Tristan's coming. And we'll look at the last remains here of the Vernonia flower. And the last remains of the Vernonia flower are about to blow off to the wind. And what we will hope will not happen is that the lions that are in the tree with Tristan are not going to blow out of the tree. Yes, in the tree.
Well, look at this. Isn't this amazing? The two cubs have climbed into the tree and they're busy just watching one of the adult lionesses. And then there's two lionesses that are on the termite mound. So we found all of them. Look at this. Is that not special? Mist in the background, lionesses on a termite mound, and cubs in a tree. This is as good as it ever gets when it comes to lions. So all of you that like screenshots, when we go out a little bit wider, it might be the perfect screenshot to take with the two naughty cubs in the tree itself. There we go. So there's the lionesses and there the cubs with the mist in the background. Now I know it's not the best angle on the actual cubs themselves, but I can't really go any more forward than where I am now because there's a cub lying in the way where I need to get round. So hopefully that cub does move and we'll be able to see. Oh, there we go. Look at that. This is so cool. So, Nancy, you're wondering how many cubs I've seen. So far I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6 are here. So there's 6 cubs, which is fantastic news. It means that the Nkuhumas have kept all their cubs together, which is great. You know, it's not easy for these lionesses to keep their cubs and to make sure that they raise them. So for these girls to have all 6 cubs getting bigger and bigger, and hello, are you being curious? This is so cool. It is not every day that you're going to see a lion in a tree. So everybody who thinks that lions can't climb, there you go. That is a prime example that lions can climb. It's just not that easy for them, but they can do it without too much difficulty. And I wonder, are you going to take a nap up there? We've got another cub that's busy trying to tackle mom down like she's a buffalo underneath. There we go. The cubs are full of nonsense this morning. They are running and playing everywhere. And I wonder if it's because of the sort of conditions that we have. This misty, overcast conditions might lend themselves to playing like this. And here come the rest of the naughty hooligans. I think we might end up with more lions up a tree shortly because the rest are on their way. Watch this lion climb. Now you're going to see, look. So it's thinking about it. Now they're not as agile as what a leopard would be, but they definitely look like they're going to go up, and it'll be amazing to see if they do. What is interesting me is where the Nkuhumas are and the way that they're looking. So Stephen, I broke up a little bit, Chantal, but I think you said what age do the cubs start to roar? Well, the cubs will already participate in roaring. When do their voices deepen when they roar? Well, that all comes with size. So as they get bigger and their lungs develop more, that's when they're going to sort of get that deeper roar developing. Now, I'm going to just try and reposition slightly because I think from the other side of the mound might be quite good. The lionesses are starting to move off, and you can see they're very curious. They also kind of watching us, and I just want to try and get into a better position that we can actually see these lions a little bit better on the mound itself. Now, is there a cub behind me still, Craig, or is it gone? There it went. Up the mound it went. This is by far one of the best lion sightings I've had in a long time. It is so good to have lions back on the property. Hello, my girl. Yes, I know. You're watching me. I'm going to go around your babies. Don't worry. I'm just trying to see if I can't just sneak around here. Go. Should be better from this side when we get around, but look at that stair there. She's got the most incredible eyes. It's not every day that you're at eye level with the pride of lions staring at you. And you can see that her pupils are quite big at the moment because it's quite dark still. So she's just got big pupils to allow light into the eye. But isn't this fantastic? Amazing. And even the adults might be going up into the tree. I'm going to try get around. So, John, you're wondering if the pregnant female is here. Well, John, I'm trying to see all the lionesses. It's difficult because they're all moving around in the thickets, and I can't actually see any of the lionesses that are pregnant at this stage. It looks like the 3 that I can see are not, so I'm trying to see where the other 2 are. I haven't seen Amber Eyes yet. I've only seen the sort of 3 other older females, and I haven't seen the young female. Now, I think it's either Amber Eyes or the young female that could be pregnant, so I'm just trying to see. I know one disappeared off into the grass just now, and then I can see the other 3 females, so I'm just missing 1 adult female at this stage. But this is so cool. Lions in trees, lions on termite mounds, mist. Wow, what a start to our day. So, Michael, you're wondering how much longer until they start participating in hunts. Well, probably a little while still. They normally start participating at about 2 years old. So it's going to be a little bit longer still. They're not going to be doing too much hunting. You can see they're still a little bit playful and a bit sort of all over the place. And that means that they end up in a situation where they kind of fall over themselves, and they'll probably ruin a lot more hunts than they'll actually do well in. But you'll find that they already now are starting to watch the females hunt, and that is just as important as actually hunting themselves. So they're watching, they're seeing the strategy, and I would imagine by the time they start to reach 2.5, that's when they're going to start participating. But I have seen young males, when they've started to already start hunting with the pride at 14, 15 months old. So in a few months' time, they might actually start just helping out a little bit. And what you'll find is the females will bring down certain animals, and then they will basically wait and let the cubs come and actually try and kill it. And we've seen that with the Nkuhuma Pride before, when they brought down a buffalo and they left the buffalo alive, and they're trying to teach that technique to the cubs already a few months ago, to try and strangle and to get onto that nose or the throat area, and to try and sort of crush those capillaries in the nose to be able to flood the lungs of the buffalo to be able to kill it. So they're already learning now. So, Roshni, you're wondering at what age do we refer to them as cubs, and when do they start transitioning out of that? Well, cubs for me is generally anything under sort of 2.5 years. When they start to actually participate in hunting, then that goes into sub-adult phase, and when they go into adult phase is when they start breeding for the first time, which is normally around 3.5 to 4 years old. So that's how for me it kind of works out. I go from sort of cub to about 2 years. Then when they start to participate in the hunts and move around, they come as sub-adults, and then they start to go into adult lionesses when mating. But it's not a defined time. It's no real sort of exact time when they become a sub-adult as opposed to a cub. They still behave like cubs now, even though they are getting older. Wow, this is so special. It's amazing to actually watch the lionesses are playing too. Look at her in the tree. That is so amazing. And big adult lioness in a tree like that is as good as it's ever going to get. Now, I believe James Hendry, who's not wanting to feel left out this morning, has found us the largest land animal digging in the mist.
Now I found a hole that is an elephant digging, and you can see that I'm sitting in this fairly vast excavation here, and it looks slightly like an archaeological dig perpetrated by a very large elephant. And what is amazing is the reason for its being dug, and I think it is whatever the rootstock held in this, it's an enormous silver cluster leaf tree, and obviously it's left all sorts of, I don't know, nutrition, roots, bits and pieces here in the soil, and the elephants have really kind of gone to town here. which I think is quite interesting. The other thing that I think is quite interesting here is, well, look at this rather fascinating sort of archaeological. It's not archaeological at all, it's fairly recent, but it looks like a dig, and you can imagine the joy of the sort of leakies of the world as they were traipsing around Lake Turkana and all down the Olduvai Gorge, and eventually coming across, of course, something sticking out of the sand like this, and thinking to themselves, good grief, we've just found the skull of an ancient hominid. This is most certainly not the skull of an ancient hominid. I think it is probably the skull, I think that is the skull of some hapless antelope that has been knocked off here by lions. We've seen many kills around this area, actually. I wonder if we can get it out quickly and quickly solve the mystery. I'm now going to become completely obsessed with exactly what this is. And obviously, if you were doing this from an archaeological point of view, you wouldn't be hammering at it with a stick. You'd be brushing it gently away with a paintbrush. So that is the joint that joins onto C1, I think, onto the first cervical vertebra. So that's the joint into which the spinal column will flow. Oh, are you excited, Tristan? What do you think we've unearthed? At least Seb, what do you think we've unearthed here? I'm sorry, yes. I keep calling Seb Tristan, but I don't know why. This, of course, was the area that we found Norman the Nyala. Unfortunately, Norman is definitely not here because he's still sitting, being cleaned off. So I don't know who this is. It's really rather fascinating. If it's something the size of a buffalo, it's going to take till next year, but I don't think it is. I'm now totally obsessed with getting it out. Be a bit awkward if it's a hominid, won't it? If it's a human skull. Pretty sure it's not, though. What do you think? You think you've got some more there? Ah, yes. Now remember, everybody, even if archaeology is not your thing, hashtag Safari Live is how you get hold of us. Any questions or comments you like. Wonderful that we've had hyenas and lions in one drive. Brilliant start to a misty morning. I've become obsessed. I guess I just have to keep going, hey? Do you think that's a piece of the same thing? Must be. Oh, yes, look, there's the jaw being revealed. It was a herbivore, everybody. You can see it was a herbivore from its teeth. I mean, I'm pretty sure that somebody worth his salt could have told you that from just looking at the top of the skull. From its size, adult impala, perhaps? Maybe Nyala? Roshni, you say I'm a paleontologist. Well, no, I'm definitely not, and I'll tell you why I'm not. I think paleontology must require an absolutely inordinate amount of patience, which I certainly do not possess. Any guesses, Seb, as to what we're under? You think it could be a baby zebra, maybe? Alright, let's head across to Jamie. I'm going to excavate this thing completely, and when you come back to me next, I will be able to reveal the mystery of what it was.
Archaeologist Hendry's having a wonderful morning this morning, digging up all sorts of historical artifacts. We just need to get him one of those hats, and then he could be Indiana Jones, and a whip. Imagine James with a hat and a whip. I think Fergus is absolutely right. Fergus is right. The cameraman needs a whip. Keep us in line. Right, so we've left the hyena den because the hyenas left us. Wasn't because I wanted to, it was because they abandoned us. Ribbon disappeared off, and the cubs will spend the rest of the day sleeping. I'll pop back in towards the end of the sunrise safari, depending on how we go. Maybe there's a chance we see Mystery Mum. Now, I'm trailing very slowly along the southern boundary, because as you may or may not have noticed, it's a little bit misty this morning, though the light is quite... I mean, this is probably the worst place for me to show you the mist, because we're on Gowrie Main, which means we have the power lines. But it really, I mean, the mist is getting thicker. I thought it would have burned off by now. My audio's going. That's peculiar. Why is my audio going? What have I done? What did I do? Am I back now?
Yeah, you're back.
I'm back now. Okay, I'll just pop that there and hope all is well. We don't need another broken audio cable. There'll be big trouble then. Tristan's already broken one on bushwalk. What are we talking about? Oh yes, Misty. Misty, which makes tracking difficult, but I would love to know where the mating pair of lions went to last night, and I'd also like to know if Tundi and Tamba have returned back onto Djuma once again. That is where we are, and that is what we're doing. I'm also straining to see things in the mist. I think some nice atmospheric elephants would also be very good. Elephants drinking in the mist of a waterhole. I'm also hugely happy that the Nkuhumas have come back to us. Isn't that lovely? After such a long period of separation, they have returned to us for now. I hope they decide to stick around. One of the big reasons why the Nkuhumas have been relatively absent is because the buffalo haven't been on Djuma. We've had one or two buffalo bulls, but otherwise there's been a significant absence of large bovids. And little one Naira, you want to know what would be the main food source of the lions on Djuma? Wildebeest, zebra, impala potentially, although an impala, when you've got 11 hungry mouths to feed, doesn't go very far. Nyala, they've killed a nyala before. Anything that we see regularly on these safaris is a potential. We know the Nkuhumas like buffalo, we know all lions like buffalo, but there's no reason why they wouldn't adapt and change, catch a waterbuck, anything like that. That area that they're in at the moment, there's quite a few kudu around there, and occasionally the wildebeest herd makes its way into that particular place. So there's lots of potential food for them. I just don't think that they're as keen on it as they might be on a buffalo. They could even in theory, they could even try and catch a hippopotamus. Oh, speaking of our wonderful lions, let's go back and see what they're up to and if they're planning on eating anything on Djuma.
Well, I'm not sure if they plan on eating anything. The lionesses have all spread and are kind of lying in different places and just looking into the distance at this stage. So maybe they've heard something and they're just waiting to work out what it is. But otherwise, the cubs are full of nonsense this morning. They've been up and down this termite mound, up and down the tree. They've gone on towards Mom, and I can actually see they're now starting to depart the scene. So I think that we're going to try and see if we can't keep up with the lionesses, because it is so thick in here that if we lose them, we're going to battle to find them again. So hopefully we'll be able to keep up with them. It also is a very, very dense area, so we're going to try and see if we can't keep up with them in here. It's not going to be the easiest of followings, but we will definitely make a plan. But isn't this exciting? What a way to start our day. So, sorry Chantal, if you can just repeat that. It just came through a little soft. I was revving the engine. So really, I'm battling to hear what the name of the person is that asked the question. I just got the furry part, but you're wondering who's the father of these cubs. And the father of the cubs, well, we don't know. We know that the Birminghams mated with these females, but we have no idea which Birmingham it is exactly. It can't sort of identify which one. They all mated with these females, so it could be Nena, it could be Nsuku, it could be Mfumo, it could be Tinyo. We don't know. We know that Mfumo and Tinyo spent a lot of time with it, and so we think maybe one of them, but there's no possible way to know. They also could be mixed paternity, where the situation where both all males mated with them, and so you find that there's DNA from multiple different males at the same time. Now, our lions seem to be moving closer and closer towards Vuyatela camp, so I wonder if they're not going to come pop out somewhere at the dam today. Wouldn't that be nice if we had them all on the dam cam and you could watch them the entire day? That would be very, very cool. Now, like I said, it is a bit of a minefield in here. There's lots of stumps, so we're trying very carefully. Alright, so I believe Iberia, Zumi, you are ready from waiting for the cubs to arrive. It's still a little bit far away, but they are slowly heading in that direction. I'm just trying to see if I can't get around here. Careful, Greg, it's going to be a bit thick and thorny through this little section. Now, just going around, they have found themselves what looks like another termite mound. So, Hannah in Colorado, you're wondering if the lionesses collectively raise their cubs. Well, yes, all members of the pride will help to raise the cubs. They make sure, one, that they provide a safe area for the cubs, and two, they also will even allo suckle. So they do it with sort of a little bit of hesitance. They don't really like to allo suckle the other cubs, but they will do it should the other lionesses be alright. Now look at this on the right hand side. There's just curious faces peering at us from every angle. There they all are. Hello guys. Good morning everybody. Yes, you are pretty, all of you. Now, I don't know. I can still only see 3 lionesses. I thought I saw all 5, but I can only see 3 at the moment. Actually, sorry, I can see 4 lionesses at the moment. I can't see 1. Now, I wonder, is it too much to hope that the 5th lioness, who could have been pregnant, has maybe, just maybe, given birth somewhere around this area, because this is where the Nkuhuma Pride gave birth over the last few months. They spent, in the drought periods, this is where they had their cubs in these drainage systems all around us. So I wonder if maybe, just maybe, the 5th one has gone to go give birth, and the rest of them could be in this area. That would be quite something, wouldn't it? It's a big hypothesis and a big maybe, and I'm clutching at huge straws here, but it is kind of what I'm hoping, and wouldn't it be nice if it is? Look at this cub being so curious. Hello. Are you coming to say hello to us? What are you doing? It's amazing to watch their sort of little personalities. Each one kind of seems to do its own thing. There's 1 or 2 that are a little bit shy. Oh, there we go. So Skip, who's 12 years old. Well, Skip, it's lovely that you're asking so many questions this morning. It's really good when we get younger viewers watching, and so I'm glad that you're watching and that you're enjoying the lions, and you wonder whether the sticks and the Nkuhumas ever come into contact with one another. Well, yes, I would suppose so, because Nkuhumas spend their time on Djuma, and the sticks every now and then will venture into this area, so it does sometimes happen that they will kind of come across each other's paths, but the Nkuhumas being 5 lionesses and the sticks being 3 means that the sticks will have a tough time if the Nkuhumas run into them. They're going to really struggle to be able to actually defend themselves. So you'll find that the sticks don't spend that much time here anymore, because I think they bumped into the Nkuhumas too many times. Now, cubs are all over the place. We've got to watch where we're driving, Skip. We don't want to drive into a cub, so I'm trying to just kind of dodge cubs everywhere at this stage, and I'm hoping that they're going to stay with the mothers. And there's another big termite mound coming up, and I'm hoping that all the moms go resting on that mound, so we can actually see who's here and work out what's actually going on with this pride and how many lionesses are actually with us, and whether or not the pregnant female that everybody's been reporting is actually here. But I'm quite glad where they've walked. They've been very kind to us. So, Roshni, you're wondering if lion cubs still consume meat when they're suckling, and when do they stop suckling? Well, yes, Roshni, they do. Lion cubs will consume meat from already about 3 months old. Even though they are still suckling until 8 months, they will suckle and feed off meat and sort of substitute their meat and their sort of food intake of meat with milk. You're right there, Craig? Sorry, Craigie, you're right. Craig unfortunately took a branch to the face, which is what happens sometimes when we follow lions. So I'm hoping Craig's okay. You're right there, bud?
No, it was the aerial.
Alright, so he said he got the aerial to the face, but he's apparently doing okay, so that's good. We don't want to kill our cameraman. Sorry, Craig. But I can only see 4 lionesses, so that's as many as I can see. There's 1 in front, and then the 3 coming backwards from there. Now, it's going to be interesting, like I say, if we can't see who is missing. But definitely none of these 3 lionesses at the back are pregnant. These are all, I think, moms. And then it looks like the youngest lioness in front, from what I can see. It's difficult to say, though. Let's just try and see if we can't get round here quickly. There comes another little curious face around the bush. I don't know where we're going to go from here, Craig. It's quite thick, but maybe through this gap. So I'm just going to go around this corner, and hopefully we'll then be able to see everybody nicely out in the open. And there is the most beautiful picture on our left-hand side. Look at that. That is as good as it gets. Hello, little one. Up in your tree. Isn't that amazing? That is, like I say, as good as it possibly gets. Lions up in a fallen over marula. Now, I'm a little bit sad this morning because I know we're not allowed to take photos, but this is something that I would love to photograph, and unfortunately I left my memory cards at home. So no photos for me this morning of the Nkuhuma Pride, which is a little bit saddening, but I suppose we're going to just have to enjoy it and live it and experience it, and maybe we'll get lucky and the Nkuhuma Pride are going to spend a lot more time here over the next few days, and hopefully we'll be able to then see a lot more of them. They're definitely on their way down towards sort of quarantine and Vuurtela camp. I can see we're now starting to slope downwards again. So, Riti, you're wondering what the biggest pride is in Djuma. Well, in Djuma itself, the Nkuhuma Pride is the Pride of 11, but within the sort of northern section, the Torchwood Pride is the biggest. They hang around on Torchwood and Buffelshoek, and as far as I know, there's 9 females and 10 cubs, so that makes a pride of 19, which is the biggest pride in this particular section. So they are a possibility for us to see. They do sometimes go down towards Cheetah Plains and onto Nkoro and those areas every now and then. It's seldom, but they do. But our biggest pride is the Nkuhuma Pride, and who knows, maybe the Nkuhuma Pride is about to go from 11 to a little bit more. If there's a female that is definitely pregnant, then you never know. Hopefully there might be some new little cubs lying around. And I must be honest, out of the lionesses that I have seen, I have not seen an amber eyes, so that's the one that is missing at this stage. That's the only one that I haven't seen. I've seen all the others, and like I said, the one in front I haven't seen well enough to know if she's pregnant, but she's been kind of hanging around in the front. Now, this little cub is still taking it very easy on its marula, and it looks just like a leopard, isn't that? Look at that. And this seems to be the naughty one. This is the one that keeps kind of coming towards us and checking us out, and it's almost watching over its shoulder the females disappearing, as if to say, do we really have to walk? I'm so comfy on my marula tree. Sorry, buddy, you're going to have to come down because your moms are leaving you behind. Adele, you're wondering if I get nervous when we're so close to prides like this with the cubs. Well, no, Adele, not at all. I really don't get nervous. These lions luckily have seen vehicles since they were weeks old, and so they're quite used to us. The females showed us their cubs when the cubs were still young, and so really they don't mind us being around. You can see the females are not showing any potential aggression to us, and so no. If you come across females that do start showing aggression, then yes, but you would always just then leave those sort of females alone and let the cubs sort of get away, and not try and sort of make them more nervous and not harass them. So in this situation, no, the Nkuhuma Pride is very used to us, and it means that we can get these amazing views of them and then just enjoy their company and be sort of absolutely spellbound by the fact that you're spending time with the biggest of the cats in Africa. So we really are fortunate. Oh, stick game is now in full force. And you can see with siblings, it's always a case of, no, I want the stick. I want the stick. Even though there's 20 sticks lying around, everybody always wants the stick. Here we go. She's decided, nope. So, Daphne, you're wondering if we ever have a lion jump onto a vehicle. Well, Daphne, I've had one of the Nkuhuma Pride, when they were still younger, try put its paws on the side of the car, but I've never had one jump. Oh, look at the two of them running. I've never had one actually jump full on onto the vehicle. We'll try and stop that as best we can. We're not going to try and promote that kind of behavior. At the end of the day, that's going to cause a lot of problems for us. We can't have lions jumping on vehicles, and so if they get that close and they start to do things like that, then generally what we'll try and do is just try and sort of start the car, make a bit of a noise, and that's normally enough just to keep the lions at a safe distance and not to teach them that behavior, that it's acceptable to jump on a car. We don't want them on the cars. We want to be able to view them without sort of interfering in their lives, and we also don't want them to then get too comfortable around us that they think it's okay to jump on cars, because the progression from there is then to investigate whatever is in the car. So, Martin, you're wondering how we know the lioness won't attack us. Well, the fact that the lioness is walking very, very calmly, ears are perked up, tail is not moving, she's not looking at us in any way, even though we're with her cubs, it means that she's completely relaxed. In a situation where a lion is angry, you'll find lions will start waving their tails, their ears will flatten, they'll growl and hiss and make a lot of noise at you and kind of tell you that they're unhappy with your presence. So in this situation, they're just not showing any of those sort of aggressive behaviors, and that means that we can be perfectly sort of happy with their response to what we're doing. I'm just trying to negotiate a big log here. Ooh. Right, so we're going to spend more time with these Nkuhumas because, well, why wouldn't you? It's the most fantastic morning possible, having lions running around everywhere. And so while we do that, I believe James is busy digging up skulls out of the ground.
Well, we've become totally obsessed by this now because it is, well, it's very deep. The ground around it is rock hard. And so we've been scraping and scratching, and now I have fashioned a sort of rudimentary chisel out of this stick and rock. And slowly, we're sort of starting to get a picture of what we have here, but I don't know what it is yet. Tristan, at least, yeah, I keep saying that, Seb has come up with all sorts of guesses. He said he thought he might be a warthog. I thought that was quite a good suggestion. He's rejected that, though. I'm still not convinced that that is the wrong suggestion. It's too big to be an impala, almost certainly. And what's interesting, though, is how hard and ossified, not ossified, what's the best word to use here, sort of geophied, I guess, petrified, the soil has become. It's turned to stone. And this has been here, I think, for quite some time. I mean, look, we're not talking fossil here, we're not talking thousands of years, but I think we're talking a couple of seasons, at least. And so it's very interesting to see now what it's going to be. And I'm afraid I'm going to be unable to leave here until I have discovered what it is. So I hope you don't mind. At least you have got some lions, and a lot of you apparently are guessing warthog. So maybe let's have some more guesses. But you can see, look at the soil here. Look how it's got all rocky. And I think that means that there's been a huge amount of, there's been a lot of activity here. A few seasons have passed with water coming over this area while the skull lay here. And you might even find that someone like Aubrey, who's been here for many years, would know exactly what it is. Little one, Naira, you reckon this might be a giraffe. I think it's a little bit too small. It might be a very young giraffe. Remember, we have some experience of giraffe skulls from the tent, but I think this one might be just a little bit too small. And obviously, this is a seriously crude way of doing this. I mean, we're doing damage to the skull as well, but I'm not too worried about that because I don't believe it to be some sort of fossil relic necessarily worthy of saving. It's just quite interesting to find out what it is. And also, I mean, we might get some kind of age on it, but it'd be fascinating to know the process behind which it became so completely stuck in the sand here. And I wonder if it didn't... I mean, this was a pan at some stage, so I guess this is exactly how a fossil would really form. It would fall into a water body like this, which would perhaps become a much more permanent water body, and then the sedimentary layers... In fact, this is exactly how a fossil would form if it was slightly closer or slightly deeper in than this one is. And eventually it would be covered by soil like this, and that soil would get harder and harder and harder, and slowly the bone would disintegrate. And then, as the bone disintegrated, it would be replaced by other sediment, different from the sediment around it. And then that too would sort of petrify, and eventually it would start to look like rock, but a different rock from that all around it. Yeah, Holly, I think you may be onto something there. You say a wildebeest. It's certainly possible. But you can see it's not moving at all. I think this is quite fun, don't you? I'm glad we've got cats somewhere else so that we can carry on with our excavation and we don't have to worry too much about finding content other than excavating this, which is wonderful. I think that's probably going to take us the best part of another hour. Anyway, so shall it go. And I hope you don't mind, and I hope that you will enjoy the discovery with us. I know it's not our normal safaris. There we got a nice big piece out. Right. Other good news is that Jamie Patterson has managed to find something with a heartbeat that is a lot more living than this.
It is much more living than this, fortunately. I'm still waiting for James to unearth an entire dinosaur skeleton by the time the sunrise safari is over. Some kind of new species that has never been discovered. I feel as though that's definitely on the cards for this morning's safari. But we've got something slightly more evolved than a dinosaur, in the form of a herd of elephants that are enjoying their breakfast. I've come all the way to Cheetah Plains, or almost to Cheetah Plains. We haven't quite got there yet. We've been distracted by elephants. And I might turn around and go all the way back west. And the reason is, Fergus asked me ages ago if he could see some wild dogs. And there's wild dogs on Arathusa. There's a big lineup, so I'm not racing yet. But perhaps today we might be able to grant Fergus's wish. Fergus, these two are being quite hilarious on the side, sorry. I'm watching these two boys fight. And one just wants to have his breakfast. The one just really wants to eat, and the other one is not. Of course, as I said that, they both stopped and calmed down. Thanks, boys. I promise you up until 2 seconds. There we go. That's probably been going on all morning. A young teenage boy tussle. A show of strength, and really, honestly, just keeping themselves entertained. They're playing with each other. There's nothing serious at all about these sparring sessions. It's just a time to bond with your cousin, probably. In the case of these two, they're very similar in age. One's got using the trunk technique to try and push his opponent's head down. Oh, careful his eye. Oh, God. I sound like a mother. Oh, gosh, I sound like a mother. Just be careful. Don't poke your eye. They do occasionally injure themselves in this way. Poke against the skin. And the sharp tusk can often break, well, not often, but it occasionally does break the skin. And they're left with little cuts and little injuries. I was hoping for elephants in the mist. The mist is gone, but the elephants are here. Here come the big females, making their way out in front of us. Hey, big girls. Hello. You see that gentle sideways tilt in the head? Not threatening, but just letting us know that she's keeping an eye on us. Mika, who is 8 years old. Mika, we've spoken about this before, you know. I often wonder... Mita, I often wonder if animals get tired of eating the same thing over and over. I guess they don't have a choice, of course. They have to eat the plants and the trees. And I wondered, especially during the drought, when all the elephants could eat was basically bark. I think they do, actually, and I think they do enjoy things like the marula season, when there's lots of really yummy fruit for them to eat on the ground. Hello. Yes, you're very big and scary. They do love fruit, and they love sugar in the form of fructose. So absolutely, I think that they do enjoy a bit of variety in their diets. But obviously, I don't think their palates are quite as well developed as that of a human being. Our elephants are about to disappear, but Tristan has a lovely view of the Nkuhumas. Let's jump on board with him.
We do indeed look at them all out on the road together now, and hopefully this is going to be them settling down, but they are still moving. The females seem to be going deeper into this area, and they can see going straight down towards Galago Pan and to the backside of Vuatela Dam, which is, like I say, where they had their cubs last time. Now the female that is missing, now that I've had time to kind of spend with them, is actually the Amber Eyes female. So that's the one who is missing, and I'm still not 100% convinced that she's got cubs. We know that she's really battled to have cubs, so it would be surprising to me, but most definitely the other lionesses that we have here, all four, most definitely do not have cubs. I've checked them very carefully as they've walked past. None of these lionesses are pregnant. The youngest female is not pregnant, and neither are any of the others. So it must be, if there was a pregnant lioness with them yesterday, it must be Amber Eyes that is pregnant, which is a huge surprise to me. But I want to just check. I'm going to speak to Lex a little bit later and just see if he did indeed have all five yesterday and one was heavily pregnant. But it would mean that then potentially Amber Eyes has cubs, because these guys here, none of them have any signs of sort of pregnancy or suckle marks or anything like that. But isn't that a welcome sight on Djuma again? Cubs sprawled across the road, lions walking through the white grass. It is a very, 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 very good sight indeed. And they are just heading deeper into Djuma at this stage. They're going right into the sort of center part of Djuma. So, Chase, you want to know what my favorite thing is about the Nkuhuma Pride? Well, Chase, this is an interesting one, because I actually hadn't had too much experience with the Nkuhuma Pride prior to starting at Simambili. It looks like they're going into stalk mode. Look at the female. See how her head lowered slightly, become far more intent. Sorry, Chase, I'll get back to your question now. But it definitely looks like they've spotted something. Even one of the cubs is now stood up and is watching mom very carefully. So we were talking earlier about when they learn to hunt. Look at this now. See how the cub is watching? It's seen that the body language of the adults has changed, and it has now become very alert as well. You see? Amazing. So it just shows you how they learn from each other. Right. So Chase, probably this pride I didn't really spend too much time with. Look, she's gone into stalk mode. Look how she's getting flat in the grass. Now the rest of them are all doing the same thing. And I did have tracks for a buffalo coming towards Vuatela Dam. Maybe, just maybe, there's something inside here that they've now spotted. We're not going to move because I don't want to spoil anything and see if we, I don't want to make any noise and chase any animal off. But it seems like they definitely have spotted something. So, Chase, the thing about the Nkuhumas is that, for me, I think one of the things is that they just are probably some of the most beautiful lions I've ever seen. They are big, healthy healthy, muscular females. They've got this sort of amazing eye color, all of them. Amber Eyes has obviously got the amber colors, but the others have got these kind of golden eyes, and I really, really just find them a very, very good looking bunch of lions. And the other side of them is that they just seem to provide the most amazing sightings, always finding them on sort of mounds, up trees like we've seen this morning. And hunting wise, they're probably one of the more successful prides we have in the area. There's been numerous times that you follow this pride when they hunt, and you actually get to see a hunt take place, and they are quite successful with it. I know last year that Taylor, Brent, Jamie, James all managed to see amazing sightings of the Nkuhuma Pride hunting and actually being successful. So that's part of it for me, is that they're just a very successful, tight-knit unit. And the other side of it is that they really, really do spend a lot of time here, so we get to develop these kind of connections with them on a personal level. And I know that's a funny thing to say, and it's not something that we try and kind of promote, or we say that they're like pets or anything like that, but watching them day in and day out and seeing the different sort of characters develop in amongst the cubs and the females, it just really makes you kind of get connected with the pride, and to watch that and to see that unfold is the most amazing part of it. Look at how these lionesses are creeping. Look, can you see? They definitely have spotted something here. I wonder what it is. This is exciting. I hope we're going to see some sort of action with these Nkuhumas. They've definitely seen something. And if it is a buffalo, it must be the only buffalo on Vuyatela at this stage that they are busy looking at. I don't think there is more than one buffalo. So I feel sorry for if it is a buffalo, because these lionesses are very, very good at buffalo hunting. And with one buffalo against 5 lionesses, it's going to be very, very difficult. They are definitely stalking though. So, Sarge, you're wondering if the lions look like they've had a recent meal. Well, not in the last day or two. They definitely are not skinny by any stretch of the imagination, so they have been eating fairly well. I know they've killed a number of buffalo on Simambili and Elephant Plains, and they've been feeding really well that side. So they definitely have eaten well. But in the last probably day or two, no, I don't see any sort of sign of them eating. It's only, look at her, look at how she's getting up now, and then see how the ears are flattening. So she's trying to avoid that black part of the ears being seen. And watch how the cub looks. That is amazing. You can see how the cub is learning from its mom. It sees that there's a different behavior in the adult, and it knows now it's time to be a little bit more serious. A lot of the other cubs are just sitting and just taking it very easy. Look at how that cub is also slinking into the grass gently. It doesn't want to make noise. It knows now that things are a little bit more serious. It's not time to play anymore. Earlier we saw them running around and jumping on each other. They've all now gotten the clear message that they are busy hunting and that it's not time. There we go, they're chasing something. I can hear something crashing through the bush. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something crashing in the bush here. I wonder if it's not a buffalo. Look at the cubs running down the road. There we go, there goes Mom as well. I think they've worked out that there's something inside here, and it sounds heavy. So I wonder if there's not a buffalo in here that they're busy now chasing. I can't see anything. So we're just going to try and see if they're busy chasing something. I don't think it was a full-on hunt yet. They definitely heard something running through the bush, but it's not a full-on hunt yet. They definitely have heard it, and now they're going to try and position themselves that they can start chasing whatever is inside here. It's so dense and so thick that it's very difficult to know what they're actually going after. But I would imagine it's something heavy set. So it could be anything like a buffalo. It could be something as big as kudu or waterbuck, but it made a lot of noise as it crashed through the bush here. This is so exciting. The problem is where they're going is almost impenetrable. But you can see how these lions work. They almost flank whatever it is that they're chasing. So some of the lionesses are still on our northern side, and they've pushed something into this thicket, and now it's going to be time to try and see if they can't circle around whatever it is and then go after it. We can hear some of the other lionesses contact calling now, so I think maybe the hunt has been a failed one. But let's see there's still one female that's very interested on this side. I think she's trying to loop around to try and see whatever it was that came crashing through if she can't cut it off. Now, sometimes what you'll find with buffalo is that they may pick up the scent of the lion. They don't actually see the lion. They pick up the scent and then they just trot off slightly and they get into a thicket like this and try and sort of get themselves out of sight. And then what you'll find is that the lions will keep sort of plugging away. And sometimes these buffalo hunts will last for hours as the lions keep trying to get to this buffalo and try to push it out into a place where they can actually find it and get on top of it. So let's see how we go here. But what an exciting morning we've had with the Nkuhuma Pride so far. Not only have they been playing in up trees, it now seems that they really are quite set on hunting whatever is inside here. Look at how she gets low. She's stopping to watch. The other thing that amazes me about lions is their senses. We had no idea that anything was there, but this whole morning they've been pushing in this direction, stopping, listening, stopping, looking. And so their eyesight and their sense of hearing must be so good that they're able to pick up whatever it was inside here that we can't even see. It astounds me that they're able to do these things. But look, they're all just stopping now and listening. So they're trying to use their incredible hearing to try and pick up what's going on. And we're not far from Gallagher-Pan, and like I said, I had fresh buffalo tracks going up towards Vuurtela Dam, and from Vuurtela Dam to Gallagher-Pan is not far at all, so it is very possible that there is a buffalo inside here. I'm just trying to keep quiet so I can hear what's going on. It seems like all the lionesses are starting to come from behind us now, so all the ones that were further north of us are starting to arrive as well. And like I say, once they know that there's a buffalo around here, even if they've missed the hunt now, they know that there's a potential food source here and they can keep applying pressure all day long. And sometimes you'll find that this goes until even into the night, where they just trail this buffalo and keep pushing it and wearing it down and tiring it out by chasing it around. So it could be a long, long hunt, but it's definitely that they're interested in something. And when the Nkuhuma Pride gets interested in something like this, it generally is not something small like an impala. It's more the bigger targets that they like to go after. And the kind of terrain we're in is very buffalo-ish as well. These thick, dense areas. This would be the perfect place for buffalo to hang about. So Elizabeth, you're wondering if the Pride would ever accept other lionesses in and join them. Well, not really, no. It has happened, but it is not something that should happen. We find that generally lionesses are very defensive of their area. They know that they've got a territory, and another lioness is competition for food, it's competition for den sites, it's competition for mating rights, and so they don't really allow other females in here. What you find is that the times where you've seen a female join with another female is normally when they are separated by some reason. So they might have lost their mother and they come together as sub-adults and they then join, and that's how they form. But it is very seldom that you'll get a female coming from another pride coming into a pride and settling. Now, there was a situation in the southern Sabi Sands where we had a pride that did that. So there's the southern pride down in the south of the reserve, and they have a female called the floppy ear female, or Mandlev, and she's from a different pride altogether, and she joined into this pride, and funny enough, she is now almost the leader of that pride. Where she goes, the rest of the pride goes. So it just shows you she did integrate, and it can happen, but it's a very, very, very seldom that it does go on. Right. We're going to carry on with the Nkuhuma Pride. Hopefully we can find out what it is that they're following behind. And while we do that, let's see how our resident paleontologist is going.
Very exciting, everybody. We have managed to excavate this thing. Not quite as exciting as a lion hunt, but we have managed. We used a primitive tool to start with. Then we used a sort of rudimentary hammer with a rudimentary chisel. And then we managed to evolve to using an axe. And that eventually is what allowed us to excavate the skull, and there it is, as predicted by Sebastian and one or two viewers. It is a warthog. Or it certainly was a warthog. It is no longer a warthog. It is dead, and has been for some time. How wonderful. Lance, you want to know if we have shovels in South Africa? Yes, we do absolutely have shovels, just not out here on bushwalk. We don't normally carry shovels with us on bushwalk. Normally, we just have to use sticks because, we don't normally expect to do much paleontological work or digging, really. This was quite exciting, though, and you can see how hard the ground has become. There's a lot of clay in it. And there's obviously quite a lot of mineral that allows the clay to stick together, so it's obviously full of salts and things. Fascinating, isn't it? And look here how the skull has sort of turned to that orange, it's absorbing water, and that is eventually why it will rot and eventually disintegrate. So while it will last obviously hugely longer than muscle and sinew and organs and skin and hair, it will not last forever. And it's important, of course, at this point. I, for many years, thought that a fossil, of course, was just a bone that had been buried, but it isn't in many cases, and that's why fossils are so difficult to age, because you can't carbon date them. They're not actually organic anymore. They are rock, and of course you can't carbon date rock, can you? Because there's no carbon in it. This we could definitely carbon date, and probably find that it died last year or 2 years ago, I think. Good. That was an excellent little interlude, especially while you were watching a lion kill. Michael, you say, could we use it in the tent? I'm not going to carry it down to the tent. If it was a really exceptional example of a warthog skull, I might. But we've got one that looks pretty much the same as that. And interestingly, they don't often come out much better than this, because they tend to be devoured from the front. Always the tusk holes are kind of bitten off, and I suppose it's a little bit better at the back here. We've got more of the actual skull, which is quite interesting, but otherwise it's really not much better than the ones that we have in the tent. And the lower jaw always seems to be missing. And it's astoundingly heavy, and I think it's because, of course, that it's filled. The brain cavity and the nasal cavities are all filled with mud. Good. I think we'll probably leave this here now. Laura, you're wondering where the rest of the hog and its tusks are. Well, we were wondering the same thing. The tusks, I don't know. I mean, they could, if we dug enough here, we'd probably find them, I guess. But most of the rest of the hog will be in the stomach of whatever killed it. And this was not a small hog. I mean, I think that was probably a boar. And so you can be almost certain that it was killed either by a male leopard somewhere around here, or most likely by lions. It really is quite astounding. So the rest of it will have been taken away and devoured, and it would have been quite possibly been torn apart. Right, the Pride is still heading to the south and to the east, and they seem to be on the trail of something large. Let's go and find out if we can see what that is.
Well, the Pride is still here somewhere, but as you can see, it's not exactly a friendly area that we're going to go through now, so it's going to be quite tough to keep up with them. They are moving quite quickly now through this section, and I'm hoping they're going to head towards Galago Pan, and we might get them all then drinking. Now, let's see if this is going to just be able to push a little bit forward. There we go. I'm hoping, there we go. And now hopefully we can just go back slightly. Craig, can you still see them? I can't see them anymore, so I don't know if they've now gone off into the distance here. Now, we've got to be a bit careful because these branches come back at us. There we go. Now we're going to try to see if I can't get through all of this, but it is becoming very, very thick, and whether or not we're going to be able to keep up with them any further is becoming anyone's guess. But while we try to do that, let's go across to Jamie and see how she's doing.
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm about to get to a wild dog sighting, so I could not be happier. Finally! It's been quite a long time since I'd last seen wild dogs. I'm very excited. You'll just have to excuse me, I'm doing a lot of listening at the moment because we're next in the lineup, so we should be able to go in shortly. But I don't want to miss that opportunity.